So worth noting that Conor is one down.
Yep. So okay. So Conor can see his screen, which is great. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. We are better than where we are, or where we were before. Okay, so we see a Veiler on the Adamancipator reset. So we could tell right now that Conor is playing Adamancipators. So that was really easy. And then obviously we know right now that Ewan is playing a version of Water.
Yeah, so we've got Halka Fibrax coming down here. It looks like it's Dolphin. And okay, this is interesting.
So he summons the O-Lion from the hand, which is technically a neg 1, which is quite unfortunate.
But he's given him.
he's given him the YuGiOh. And what's he taken? Nibiru.
Ooh, good swap.
That is nasty.
That's a good little switcheroo there.
So Conor wouldn't. Oh, so we know right now Conor wouldn't have had any negates to play around that Nibiru before hitting his 5th summon. So that was incredibly powerful.
Just goes to show these smart lines of play that these advanced players of the game can go through. Sort of prep for these kind of scenarios when they come up.
Opening that exchange. Wow. Opening exchange there was incredible.
Pretty godlike.
Yeah, so taking like I said, I don't think Conor would have had any. He couldn't have established a negate before hitting the Nibiru off Ewan. So that was yikes. Yikes.
Big yikes from me.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and see probably the full combo here you would expect.
Metal Marcher. We'll go straight to Metal Marcher.
Yep.
Metal Marcher target O-Lion.
Okay. Token generation is go and...
Oh no, he's target. I completely forgot that Analyzer was a tuner. My bad.
So this should get his everything going now, right? He should be pretty much full combo from here.
This is full combo as far as I'm aware.
So it'll be interesting now to see, because he will know what his opponent has, so there's no playing blind here. If you're Ewan and you know that you don't have an interrupt, would you potentially just scoop here?
Maybe. Oh, he's gonna summon block. I was gonna say he doesn't have access to Block Dragon, and then I realised he can just equip Block Dragon with Union Carrier. Jesus. Jeez.
I'm surprised this card didn't get hit on the list, to be entirely truthful with you.
I can understand why it didn't and why it would. There are a lot of different reasons regarding that. But you know, we don't make the decisions on that, sadly.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things where, I mean, we can go back to that sort of mentality of we didn't necessarily have an actual format, because these online events that we're seeing here don't really affect the way Konami does things, and understandably so, because you know, it's not an official way of playing, so therefore it doesn't have any official impact on the game.
That's true. We do have to take account that they may sometimes consider the online format when balancing, but we can't really be sure of that. So what we see is that, just going back to the game, is that we see that Ewan, so Conor made Dweller, had the Block Dragon search, and that was sort of it. So obviously Conor knew what Ewan was playing, because obviously he revealed his I believe it was the Neptibus.
Yeah.
Prince Neptibus. So he knew he was playing some sort of water variant. And obviously, again, viewing the exchange as well gave Conor perfect knowledge of Ewan's hand, and obviously losing that Nibiru sucked.
Yeah, I mean, that and Valen would probably have been his only kind of you would imagine his only kind of interrupts. Like, if you were to mathematically guess, he probably had 2 interrupts in his hand, would be pretty fair.
Yeah, to be fair as well, what's really interesting is that would have probably sealed the game as well for you, and getting that Nibiru off, which is quite unfortunate.
Yeah. Okay, so the siding is done.
So obviously we're going to see Ewan go first. So I believe Ewan's deck, because obviously I have access to all the lists. Ewan's deck is a potential hand loop deck, so we may see some interact. Oh wow! Going straight into the Deep Sea Diva. Do we see a... Oh! I believe if Conor doesn't have another way of interruption, this is full combo hand loop. Just off summoning Diva.
There we go.
Do we see another interruption? No.
Been approved. The classic, I'll allow it.
So we obviously know that Conor's hand does not contain another effect veiler, so that eliminates one potential thing here.
Yep.
What's
so
the
this will be quite interesting.
Yeah, sorry. So what do you think the likeliness is of Conor opening more than one hand trap?
Okay, so again, you go back to maths. If you were to guesstimate, because we can't see hands, he's possibly got another interrupt here. The question is how does the water deck deal with any other possible interrupts here? I don't know enough about the...
Okay, so Ewan got to view Conor's hand with Minstrel, I believe.
And that was his other interrupt that I'd kind of assumed he would have?
Yeah, so Ewan took out the Nibiru with the Minstrel effect. So Ewan now has full ability of Conor's hand. So obviously we're probably going to see him just go straight into Mulan and then just rip the rest of his cards out of his hand.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. I guess he could maybe have more interrupts, seeing as he hasn't scooped yet.
Well, I'd debate that mainly because Ewan has seen Conor's hand because of the Minstrel, so he knows what he's playing around at this point.
Yeah, of course.
So he hits the Researcher and hits a... Oh, wow, okay. Whoa. Jesus.
Just going to go ahead and get it out of the way now, I guess.
Wow, that is... Despot was 001 triggers. Token generator. Yeah.
So let's just see how this works out here. I mean, Conor must think that he's got some line of play because he's still playing.
Well, so token generator you can trigger from the graveyard as well.
Yeah.
Which is quite an interesting mechanic on token generator. I'm not really sure where Ewan can go from this though. Is there any play you can think of? I don't really know the water deck that well. Do you?
No, and this is exactly where I was going to go with this, because it was one that I'd seen hotly tipped by a few far better players than I am. And they were sort of said that this was going to be the deck, and we haven't seen it happen. So it'll be interesting to see if it does have that kind of power that they anticipated that it would have.
Well, I'm fully aware that Ewan would have done full combo if that wasn't a token generator.
Yeah.
So it's a bit unfortunate that Ewan didn't hit the potential other card, but obviously he knew that he's playing around token generator, so I wouldn't be concerned. I wouldn't be that concerned. So he definitely has the Nibiru. So do you think he'd be going straight into Granite and then potentially searching another one of his extenders here?
Yeah, I mean, that's, you would assume, based on what he's only got 2 cards in hand. He's probably going to want to see another option to play with here.
Okay, so we see an Imperm on the Gallic Granite. So Conor's used his normal summon on the Quackimera Guardian. He's going to kill the Mulan, which means Ewan doesn't have a battle phase next turn.
It does put him in a reasonable position. I mean, battle doesn't quite determine as much as it used to, but even still, you know, cutting your opponent off from a potential way of killing you in one turn when you're quite short already seems like a sensible way to go.
Yeah, so what's interesting is that Conor has placed a card opposite Ewan's other set card, so we can potentially assume that they may be impermanence.
Or he's bluffing.
Potentially. So if this is impermanence, we'll probably see it on the Halki Firebrax here, but obviously if Ewan's is an impermanence as well, he can also just change the Gallant Granite and negate his opponent's impermanence.
Okay, so we got Conor here saying he's thinking, so we are going to have to take a minute. Again, could be a bluff for all we know, but it could also legitimately be an imperm, in which case he's going to put himself in a really solid position here by stopping basically the back row and the Halka Firebrax in one go.
Yeah, so what's really interesting about this is that Ewan can also potentially get help from his team as well here. So we are allowing that in this format. And obviously Conor may have discussed that with his team. It may not just be a decision made by Conor, it may be a decision made by the team. So that goes through.
So we are seeing the play go through. This kind of makes me feel like it's not an impermanence and potentially just a not necessarily a non-reactive card, but certainly a possible bluff.
Yeah, so what you also have to consider is that Ewan hasn't used his normal summon yet.
That's true.
Ewan hasn't used his normal summon yet, so potentially it could be an imperm waiting for something like the Deep Sea Diva.
Yeah, that's true. Again, you know, we're talking about players who are certainly better than I am at this game, so I imagine they are pretty well thought ahead of time. Okay, they were just correcting something here. Yeah, okay. So I think he wanted to reverse the play and was told categorically that's not happening.
So we see no effect of the Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon to stop the Jet Synchron, discarding the Deep Sea Minstrel. Where do you think Ewan's going to go from here?
I don't know. I mean, you would think that ideally he'd want the tokens, but of course we have Token Boy in the graveyard that's going to stop that.
Again, there's no difference. I'm suggesting not to use the effect of the Token Collector. Obviously stops Conor from getting another level 4 Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to see, we're going to see the Gallant Grant. We're going to see the Access Code Talker. So you've spoke about Access Code Talker a little bit on your Market Watches, I believe. So if you want to give the players sort of what Access Code Talker does, that'd be great.
Yeah, so Access Code Talker is a bit of a weird one in that, honestly, I feel in a lot of ways it power creeps a lot of the other good options for League 4 that we have out there. In particular, Boral Sword. It doesn't do quite as much damage, but it does get very big. So at the moment it'll have gained, I think it's 3,000 attack it'll have gained. So we're going to be circa 6k attack. It also has the ability where it can banish links. I think it's of different attributes from the graveyard, and pop cards on the field for that, essentially. So that's probably what we're going to... Oh, okay. So let's see where this goes from here. But yeah, basically, Access Code Talker, it's almost like a modern version of Dark Arm Dragon. That's the way I think of it.
That is true. So this is going to be a bit awkward because we've given Conor a rock monster, and then he also gains the effect of Token Collector because a token was summoned.
So this could actually put Conor in a really strong position, despite the fact that the tide was definitely against him early on.
Yes, I think potentially losing that battle phase is quite... Oh, wow, okay. He draws the Ash Blossom to go into the Halki Fibrex. If Ewan doesn't have a response here, then the Ash away. Okay.
But it is worth noting that Ewan only has one card in play. As far as I know, he doesn't have anything reactive in his graveyard.
Not as far as I can see.
So it could very well depend on what he draws here as to how he can play.
Quite curious.
So he is looking at his graveyard, so it'll be interesting to see whether that's a telltale sign of what he's got in his hand, really. Ooh. We all know in modern Yu-Gi-Oh that set and pass is not a good sign.
Ooh. It's a bit unfortunate for you in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit unfortunate.
And it did look like things were going really in his favor quite early on, but I think hitting that token collector for number 1 and number 2 losing the Mooling Glacier has actually potentially put him in quite a bad position here.
Yeah, but what you have to understand is that that Conor could have potentially had up to 3 hand traps in his hand, which is insane. We thought we'd only see 2, which is quite unfortunate. But obviously, it's a random chance with Mooling Glacier because that token collector could have stayed in his hand and done the exact same thing.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd rather hit a... I guess it depends on what the other card is, like, you know, not having perfect knowledge of the situation. and not knowing what the other card is. Sometimes it could be better in grave, sometimes it could be better in hand. And if you're hitting one that's out of hand that doesn't want to be in the grave, then he loses his last resource to clear up the play, if that makes sense. So he'd be one more resource down if the card in his hand would have been worse off in the grave.
So we have 2 sets for Conor and Ewan as well. Whoa, okay. Please be
okay.
Ewan, please. Okay. Oh, Ewan. It's not an imperm. It is not an imperm. Because it would have just changed the imperm to an imperm.
Yeah, of course. So my call that was potentially a bluff. Yeah, okay, I got that one wrong.
That is unfortunate.
Mirror Force?
No. I want to know what I do want to know what Ewan's set card, because I predicted that was an impermanence.
Okay, and there we have it. It's wrapped up after things after things going against Conor from the get-go, technical issues and all, he's somehow clawed it back.
That was, I think the exchange in game 2 clenched that. Obviously, taking away Ewan's Nibiru, that would have absolutely stopped Conor in his tracks, and then the token collector game 3 was probably the deciding factor there. Yeah, it was interesting seeing the token collector. We've heard a lot of hype about token collector, but I've never really seen it play. But it was nice to get sort of an insight there on token collector.
Token collector was an interesting one because when it first came out, really the only thing you'd hit with it was scapegoat, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we've seen so many new token generators brought into the TCG in such a short period of time that it's actually something to really consider using. And even as a one-off, because there's so many different ways to dump it into the grave so that it's live all the time. And of course, opening it and your opponent knocking it into the grave for you is always quite nice and handy. But, you know, it's one of those situations where it's potentially got more and more power over time, depending on what cards come out.
Yeah, so we saw it initially, I believe, as a sneak peek promo.
Yes, that's correct.
And I don't remember what set it was from. Was it from what's the set that
was it Soul Fusion?
Oh, is it Soul Fusion?
Or did it come out in Soul Fusion?
They come out in the same set because it was an ultra and a common, I believe, in the same set.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because, well, you get the sneak, don't you? Yes, you get the ultra and then the common, the set. Is it the set following? I don't remember.
I'm going to check.
In either case, I'm pretty sure there's definitely some connection with Soul Fusion there. I'm pretty sure.
It may have been Soul Fusion. It may have been Soul Fusion. It is Soul Fusion. Yeah. So it came as it came as a rare in Soul Fusion and an ultra rare as the Sneaky promo.
Okay, so there's, you know, it's one of those where around Soul Fusion time there wasn't a lot that was going on with that we would, you know, necessarily hit with that other than Scapegoat, and you know, you could argue whether there was better ways to deal with that at the time, but also Scapegoat got hit very shortly afterwards, if I'm not mistaken.
It did. It got put to 2 and then put to 1. I believe it's currently at 1.
Which, to be fair, for a card like that is, you know, makes sense. It's Scapegoat's really broken in the modern game.
Yeah. So we have results from the rest of this match, that the Disciples have won this game. Won this round 2-1. So that's a bit unfortunate for Team Ewan Needs This. I love that name. Yeah, so the Disciples take this round 2-1 overall. So I believe that Conor won, and I believe Gabe won. And I know Gabe is potentially playing what Gabe is currently famous for.
Yeah, and it's not hard to find that information out there, to be honest with you. But if it's as good as they say it is, there's not really a way to stop it.
Yeah, so potentially giving 2 players that sort of deck would be ideal. And then giving one, obviously, Conor may not be confident on the FTK, but we can see, because obviously we see he's really competent on Adamancipator at the moment. So I think we're going to end the commentary for round 1 there, unless there's anything else you want to say, Joe?
No, that's pretty much it for me for now. Thank you very much for joining us, Duelists. Hopefully you've enjoyed round one, despite the technical issues that we've had along the way. I personally am going to be back later on today, probably around 5 o'clock. It is worth noting that we do have a short lunch break coming up, so as to mitigate some more potential technical issues. Anything from you, Aaron, before we go?
No, I hope you guys enjoyed the event. We've worked quite hard on this, and we'll be back. We'll be back later. And I think me and you will be commentating some other rounds as well together. So hopefully I will see you Duelists then. I'll see you later. And hopefully you guys are back to join us for round 2.